If you are a gardener, a hiker, or just a child who played outside, you know this plant. You know it by the feeling before you know it by name. It starts as a brush against your leg. Then a split second of silence. Then the fire. A burning, itching, throbbing sensation that feels like invisible ants biting you all at once. Welts rise up on your skin. You curse. You look down and see a harmless-looking green plant with jagged leaves. It is the stinging nettle. Urtica dioica. For most of us, this plant is the enemy. We spray it with chemicals. We hack it down with machetes. We warn our children to stay away from the biting bush. We view it as a biological mistake, a weed that exists only to cause us pain. But what if I told you that this pain is actually a sophisticated lock on a treasure chest? What if I told you that the plant you are poisoning is actually more nutritious than the kale you buy at the supermarket? What if I told you that the clothes you are wearing right now are inferior to the fabric this plant can produce? This isn't just a weed. It is a pharmacy, a factory, and a grocery store all rolled into one. It has saved armies from freezing to death. It has saved peasants from starvation. It has treated kings for arthritis when doctors failed. We have spent the last century trying to eradicate one of the most useful organisms on the planet because we are afraid of a little sting. We have traded a free, abundant survival resource for expensive, weak industrial substitutes. Today, we are going to grab the nettle. We are going to look past the pain and discover why this fierce green guardian might just be the most misunderstood plant in history. To understand the true value of the nettle, we have to go back to a time before cotton, before nylon, and before pharmacies. We have to go back to the Bronze Age. Archaeologists opening burial mounds in Denmark made a shocking discovery. They found bodies wrapped in burial shrouds that were 3,000 years old. They assumed it was linen or hemp, but when they analyzed the fibers under a microscope, they realized it was nettle. Before global trade routes brought cotton from the tropics, nettle was the fabric of the north. It was the poor man's silk. It was strong, it was warm, and it grew everywhere. But the most intense use of nettle comes from the Roman Empire. Imagine a Roman legion marching north from Italy to conquer Britain. These men were used to the warm Mediterranean sun. Suddenly, they found themselves in the damp, freezing fog of Scotland. Their joints ached. The cold seeped into their bones. They were suffering from rheumatism and arthritis brought on by the climate. They didn't have ibuprofen. They didn't have heating pads. So, they used nettle. Legend has it that Roman soldiers brought their own special seeds of the Roman nettle with them. When the pain in their legs became unbearable, they would strip off their armor and flog themselves with bunches of fresh stinging nettle. It sounds like torture. It sounds insane. But it worked. The sting brought a rush of blood to the surface of the skin. It created heat. It distracted the nervous system from the deep ache of the joints. This practice is called urtication. It was a standard medical procedure for thousands of years. They used the pain of the plant to cure the pain of the body. Throughout the Middle Ages, nettle was a staple. In the spring, when the food stores were empty and people were suffering from scurvy and malnutrition after a long winter, the nettle was the first green thing to emerge from the snow. It was the spring tonic. People didn't spray it, they celebrated it. They made nettle soup, nettle beer, and nettle tea. It was the plant that told them they had survived another winter. It was the green gold of the peasant world. So, how did we go from wearing nettle and eating nettle to poisoning nettle? The villain in this story is the sanitization of nature and the rise of the cotton industry. In the 1800s, the cotton gin made cotton cheap. Cotton is soft, it doesn't sting. But cotton is also a diva. It requires massive amounts of water. It requires pesticides. It requires a very specific warm climate. It fueled the slave trade and ecological destruction. But because it was profitable for the industrialists, it became king. Nettle was pushed aside. Processing nettle fiber is hard work. You have to ret the stalks, strip the fibers, and spin them. It was a cottage industry done by families in their homes. The Industrial Revolution wanted factories, it wanted uniformity. Nettle was too wild, too labor-intensive, and too difficult to monetize. Then came the chemical revolution of the 20th century. Suburban life introduced the concept of the perfect lawn. Nature was no longer a provider, it was a backdrop. Anything that interrupted the smooth green carpet of grass was an enemy. Chemical companies launched marketing campaigns, branding plants like dandelion, clover, and nettle as weeds. A weed is just a plant that you haven't found a use for yet, or a plant that refuses to follow your rules. Nettle refuses to follow rules. It grows in the messy corners, the ditches, the abandoned lots. We became a society that fears discomfort above all else. We want our food wrapped in plastic. We want our medicine in a sugar-coated pill. We want our clothes to be synthetic and frictionless. Nettle represents everything we have tried to eliminate from modern life. It is wild, it requires effort to process, and it demands respect. If you disrespect it, it hurts you. So instead of learning how to handle it, we decided it was easier to just kill it. Let's pause the history and talk about the sting. How does a plant hurt you? It doesn't have teeth. It doesn't have a stinger like a bee. If you look at a nettle leaf under a powerful microscope, you will see something terrifyingly beautiful. The leaves and stems are covered in tiny, transparent hairs called trichomes. But they aren't hairs. They are glass. The nettle plant pulls silica, the same material as sand and glass, out of the soil and constructs these hollow, needle-like structures. They are sealed at the top with a tiny, fragile bulb. When you brush against the plant, even lightly, that bulb snaps off. The break is razor-sharp. The hair transforms into a hypodermic needle. It penetrates your skin. But it's not just the poke that hurts, it is the cocktail inside. At the base of that needle is a tiny bladder filled with chemicals. When the needle enters your skin, the bladder gets squeezed, injecting you with a mixture of formic acid, histamine, acetylcholine, and serotonin. Yes, serotonin, the happiness hormone. But when injected locally, it causes pain. Histamine causes the itching and swelling. Formic acid is the same chemical found in fire ant venom. It is a biological masterpiece of defense. But here is the flip side of the science. The same deep root system that pulls up the silica to build those glass needles is also pulling up everything else. Nettle is a dynamic accumulator. Its roots go deep into the subsoil, mining minerals that other plants can't reach. It pulls up iron, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and vitamins A and C. It concentrates these nutrients in the leaves. Because it is so good at mining the soil, a cup of nettle tea is basically a liquid multivitamin. The sting is just the security guard protecting the vault of nutrition inside. The irony of our food system is stark when you look at spinach versus nettle. Spinach is the poster child for healthy greens. Popeye ate it. But spinach is weak. It needs perfect soil. It needs constant watering. It gets eaten by bugs constantly, so farmers spray it with pesticides. By the time it gets to your plate, it has traveled hundreds of miles and lost half its nutrients. Nettle grows in a ditch. It requires zero human intervention. It fights off its own pests with its glass needles. Nutritionally, nettle embarrasses spinach. Calcium. Nettle has 4 times more calcium than spinach. Iron. Nettle is comparable but often higher in bioavailable iron. Vitamin C. Nettle has significantly more vitamin C. We buy calcium supplements made from crushed rocks. We buy iron pills that make us constipated. We buy multivitamins made in a lab. And all the while, we are spraying poison on a plant that offers all of these things in a bioavailable organic form for free. And let's look at clothing. We wear polyester, which is made from oil and sheds microplastics into the ocean. Or we wear cotton, which drains aquifers. Nettle fiber is hollow inside, which means it is filled with air. This makes it incredibly insulating. Warm in the winter, cool in the summer. It is stronger than cotton and finer than linen. We kill the medicine to grow the poison. We kill the sustainable fiber to wear the plastic. It is an ecological insanity that we have normalized because we are afraid of a little sting. There is a story that illustrates the desperation and the salvation of the nettle. It comes from the First World War. It is 1915. The British Navy has blockaded Germany. No ships can get in. Germany is running out of everything. They are running out of food, but they are also running out of cotton. The soldiers on the front lines are freezing. Their uniforms are falling apart. They cannot make tents, rucksacks, or sandbags. The German government realized they were sitting on a gold mine. They looked at the forests and the fields. They saw the nettle. They launched a massive campaign. They enlisted children, women, and the elderly. "Harvest the stinging nettle for the fatherland," was the cry. Millions of kilograms of wild nettle were harvested. They reopened the old processing mills that had been shut down since the Industrial Revolution. They spun the nettle fiber into a grey-green cloth. It worked. The German army marched in nettle uniforms. They slept in nettle tents. They ate nettle soup to ward off starvation. The plant that everyone hated became the plant that held the nation together. But there is a softer story, too. It is the story of The Wild Swans by Hans Christian Andersen. In the fairy tale, the Princess Eliza must save her 11 brothers who have been turned into swans. To break the spell, she must weave 11 shirts made of nettle. She has to harvest it with her bare hands, crush it with her bare feet, and spin it in silence. Her hands are blistered and burned, but she keeps working because it is the only way to save the ones she loves. This fairy tale isn't just a story, it is a cultural memory. It reminds us that nettle requires sacrifice. It requires pain to unlock its magic. It is a plant of transformation. Today, the nettle is having a renaissance. The weed is becoming chic. At Noma in Copenhagen, frequently voted the best restaurant in the world, Chef René Redzepi puts stinging nettle on the menu. He serves it foraging style. Suddenly, the plant from the ditch is costing $50 a plate. In the world of sustainable fashion, designers are looking for alternatives to cotton and polyester. They are rediscovering nettle denim. There is a company in the UK called Sting and others in Nepal working to bring nettle fabric back to the mass market. They are proving that you can have luxury clothing that actually heals the soil it grows in rather than destroying it. There are even nettle-eating championships in Dorset, England. It is a bit of a pub joke where people compete to eat the most raw nettles. They have black mouths and swollen tongues, but it shows that the fear is disappearing. We are starting to play with the plant again, but the most important rediscovery is happening in the herbalist community. As people lose faith in the pharmaceutical industry and worry about antibiotic resistance, they are turning back to traditional medicine. Nettle is the star of this movement. It is being used for seasonal allergies. It is a natural antihistamine, for prostate health and for joint pain. The science is finally catching up to the Roman soldier whipping his legs. So, how do you actually use this? How do you get past the glass needles? Harvesting. You need gloves. Leather or thick rubber is best. But if you are brave, there is a trick. The needles point upward towards the tip of the leaf. If you grasp the plant firmly from the bottom and stroke upwards, you press the needles flat without breaking the tips. You can pick it bare-handed if you are confident. But for beginners, wear gloves. Harvest the top 4 to 6 leaves in the spring. That is when they are tender and packed with energy. Neutralizing. The moment nettle touches hot water, it is disarmed. The heat wilts the glass needles and dissolves the chemicals. You can blanch it for 30 seconds and it becomes as harmless as spinach. You can dry it and the sting disappears. You can crush it like the princess in the fairy tale and the sting is gone. Cooking. Use it exactly like spinach. Make a nettle pesto. It is greener and earthier than basil. Make a soup with potatoes and cream, or simply dry the leaves for tea. A cup of nettle tea a day helps with allergies and gives you that mineral boost. The fertilizer. If you don't want to eat it, feed it to your garden. Throw a bunch of nettles in a bucket of water and let it rot for 2 weeks. It smells terrible, but it is. Nettle manure tea. It is packed with nitrogen. Pour it on your tomatoes and watch them explode with growth. Is it dangerous? Generally, no, but don't eat it after it flowers. Once the plant produces seeds, it produces gritty particles called cystoliths, which can irritate the kidneys. Stick to the young leaves in spring and early summer. The nettle teaches us a profound philosophical lesson about gatekeeping. In our modern world, we want everything to be easy. We want frictionless experiences, but value often comes from friction. The nettle puts up a barrier. It says, if you want my treasure, you have to pay attention. You have to be present. You have to respect me. You cannot harvest nettle while looking at your phone. You will get stung. It forces mindfulness. It reconnects us to the reality that nature is not soft. Nature has teeth. But if we learn how to dance with it, if we learn the technique, the reward is immense. Destroying nettle patches is a symptom of our laziness. We destroy it because we don't want to take the time to understand it. We want the world to be smooth and safe, but a world without nettles is a world without wildness, a world without resilience. We are like the Romans. We need the sting to wake us up. We need to feel something real to remind us that we are alive and that we are part of a food chain, not just consumers in a supermarket aisle. We started this journey with a paradox. A plant that hurts us is the plant that heals us. We looked at the Bronze Age burials, the Roman legions, and the German trenches. We saw the chemical warfare of the glass needles and the nutritional goldmine they protect. The stinging nettle is the ultimate survivor. It thrives on neglect. It heals the soil. It feeds the butterflies. It is the primary food source for the red admiral and peacock butterflies. And it offers us free medicine if we are brave enough to take it. The next time you are walking in the woods or the edge of a field and you see that jagged green leaf, don't recoil in fear. Don't reach for the weed killer. Stop. Look closely at the glass needles. Respect the engineering. And maybe, just maybe, go home, get some gloves and harvest a basket. Make a pot of tea. Drink the wild energy of the earth. We have spent enough time fighting the green guard dog. It is time to let it protect us again. If you believe that we should stop poisoning our medicine, share this video. Let's give the nettle the respect it deserves. And if you want to uncover more lost secrets of the natural world, make sure you are subscribed. The wild is waiting for you.